From Triple C calling Sugar a homeless lesbian in a press conference, to him firing back by claiming to put Cejudo to sleep, here's why Sean O'Malley called out Henry Cejudo. It all began when Cejudo brought in the heat at the UFC 288 press conference. He had some strong predictions for his fight against Aljamain Sterling, but he didn't stop there. He also had his sights set on O'Malley and didn't hold back when it came to calling him out. He said that once he's done taking down Sterling, he's gonna dedicate his next fight to O'Malley, who he called the homeless lesbian. Yeah, he actually said that. The trash talk kept flowing as Cejudo talked about his skills and said that his striking is way superior to Sterling's, his wrestling is top-notch. And let's not forget, he's got way better hair than that dude. Like, what? Fans said that he was just saying anything that came to his mind at that point. Cejudo also said he didn't think much of O'Malley's credentials either. He dissed him by saying that O'Malley's got 26 losses, a Division III wrestling background, and he's gonna bow down to Cejudo. And of course, Cejudo couldn't resist talking smack about O'Malley's financial situation too. He said everyone knows that O'Malley's got bad credit, so he shouldn't even think about betting anything on his fight against Sterling. Ouch. And the worst part? It kept going. Cejudo continued his verbal assault, calling O'Malley a dirty Q-tip and a privileged brat. He seemed eager to teach him a lesson, saying he's gonna hurt O'Malley if they ever fight. He loves the fact that Sean is tall and popular, but that won't save him from Henry's wrath. Throughout the lead-up to UFC 288, Henry kept talking about how this next fight against Sterling's gonna solidify his legacy, especially since he was coming back after a 3-year hiatus, but it didn't really go his way. Right from the get-go, Sterling came out swinging, showing off some fancy footwork and quick movements, trying to close the distance. And that was the moment Henry took advantage and grabbed a tight body lock, transitioning it into a takedown. But Sterling didn't look too bothered and just sprang back up on his feet right after. Sterling was making sure to use his reach advantage and started dishing out punches and kicks, keeping Cejudo at bay. He then made a slick move and took Cejudo down, unleashing a barrage of knee strikes to the body. Talk about intense. As the fight went on, Cejudo tried getting more aggressive and throwing punches with more power and hammered Sterling with a couple of knee strikes. But Sterling wasn't backing down. He closed the distance once again and went for takedowns, even landing a nasty knee that caught Cejudo off guard while he was on defense. With only 10 minutes left on the clock, Henry cranked up the pressure. But Sterling fought back with revenge, throwing straight punches and vicious calf kicks, chipping away at Cejudo's base. Sure, Cejudo landed some powerful shots of his own, but he could only connect with one at a time, unlike Sterling. Cejudo even managed a late takedown right before the final bell rang, but it wasn't enough. He lost the split decision, and right after the match was over, Sean O'Malley decided to storm into the cage like he was on a mission or something. Sterling wasted no time in shifting his focus to O'Malley, and these two went at each other face to face with flames in their eyes. And let me tell you, it was about to get real ugly when O'Malley started beefing with Sterling's buddy Mir Abdulashvili. Everyone sensed the tension and security had to jump in, saving the day before fists started flying. Sterling wasn't holding back either, and he shouted saying, "Yo, Sugar Sean, where you f***ing at, you bitch?" And that's not all. He even took shots at Dana White, saying he wasn't about to let him babysit O'Malley anymore. Sterling straight up called O'Malley out, questioning why he turned down a title shot, but even though Sean didn't respond to that, he wasn't backing down either. He fired shots right back at Sterling, saying that when they fight, Sterling should hope he looks better than that, because right now, he looks like It was getting really heated in there, and even Dana White and Joe Rogan had to step in and play peacemakers by separating the two fighters by force. This face-off was a glimpse of what could have gone down in their upcoming clash. But now Cejudo might be stepping in for Sterling for real, and O'Malley doesn't know what to think. Sterling admitted that he's still dealing with some serious injuries from his fight against Cejudo, and that his legs are banged up, his biceps still sucks, and he's even scheduled for another MRI. Ouch! Dana White also joined in, and he ain't so sure about Sterling's chances of making it to the fight against O'Malley. He then hinted at Cejudo to step in for Sterling instead, and O'Malley chimed in on his podcast about the whole situation. He said it would be kinda weird for Cejudo to fight someone fresh off a loss, but he's still down for the challenge. He was training like a madman preparing for Sterling, who he believes is the best match for him, and said he's gotta lower himself down to Cejudo's level. O'Malley made a name for himself when he took down #1 contender Petr Yan, and that victory was a game changer for him. But then came Cejudo, crashing the party by coming out of retirement, delaying O'Malley's shot at the title. Cejudo made it clear in the pre-fight press conference that he's gunning for O'Malley and said that he wants a piece of him, and he wants it now. He even suggested doing it in Boston, back in O'Malley's backyard. Looks like Cejudo's trying pretty hard to get O'Malley's attention, and it's not his first time. Let me take you back to when O'Malley had just bagged the controversial split decision I just mentioned, which took place back in UFC 280 in October 2022. Right after that win, O'Malley was itching to step into the ring with Sterling right away, but he had to wait because Sterling had a match with Cejudo. So he tweeted at them saying they gotta fight in March because he wanted his fight against Sterling to go down in July, at the latest. Cejudo, being the master of trolling, couldn't resist jumping into the mix and threw a tweet right back at O'Malley suggesting he should fight Paddy instead because the judges won't know who to rob. And in case you missed it, he's talking about Paddy Pimblett's win over Jared Gordon, and it was so controversial it was labeled as MMA Junkie's 2022 Robbery of the Year. O'Malley wasn't gonna let Cejudo get away with that comment, so he fired back by asking Cejudo to shut up and make him a burrito, a classic last-minute resort to racism. Cejudo came back swinging, saying he'd make a burrito for Petr Yan and have the judges serve it to O'Malley. Dang, this isn't their first rodeo, cause back at UFC 276, Cejudo once again decided to stir up some trouble during O'Malley's backstage interview. He wasted no time in commenting on O'Malley's performance that day and said that it sucked big time. He even came up with a nickname for O'Malley, calling him Stuttering Sean because of how much he tripped over his own words. Cejudo said he doesn't believe O'Malley is ready to face him and thinks it would be the worst decision of his life, comparing it to Jake Paul trying to take on John Jones. O'Malley wasn't gonna let any of this fly, so he tweeted calling out Cejudo, and he's not even sure if Cejudo actually wants to step into the octagon with him. O'Malley tweeted asking him to step up on September 10th, 2022, calling him a fat ass and saying he's all talk. He even tagged the wrong account, saying that he doesn't know Henry's username, asking people to find it for him. Fans said O'Malley was forcing out the roasts, and that even though Cejudo might be the king of cringe, O'Malley's definitely stooping to his level. Despite all the trash talk and subtweets, there's still a question that fans want answered. Will these two actually throw down in the octagon? And how would a fight between O'Malley and Cejudo pan out? O'Malley's all pumped up and confident that he can take down Henry and remembers everything Cejudo said about him during that press conference. Sugar ain't one to forget. And he straight up said that Cejudo got lucky when he lost to Sterling because O'Malley was already planning to knock him out cold and put him to sleep. That's right, he wanted to shut down Cejudo's lights for good. This guy's got some serious fire in him, and kept adding to the shade, saying that Cejudo just retired again after that Sterling loss, which hit Cejudo where it hurts because he just came back from a 3-year hiatus and lost his first fight back in the game. And that's why this fight could be Henry's last one. It was a close call with Sterling, and Henry mentioned that it might be the final time we'll be seeing him stepping into the octagon. It's got everyone wondering if O'Malley can rile Cejudo up enough to the point where he reconsiders entering the ring. So there you have it, from Sugar saying he would put Cejudo to sleep, to Triple C calling him a homeless lesbian during a pre-fight press conference. This was why Sean O'Malley called out Henry Cejudo.